96.5 The Fox, the new evolution of classic rock, free beer, hot wings every weekday morning, and a very special guest in studio. We've got Dan and Myles from the American Community Project, a very cool thing that you guys are doing. You've been riding across the country on mopeds for a good cause.
Yeah, we've been riding the 49cc Honda Ruckus motor scooter. For one, it seemed like a lot of fun, but also it's very, very efficient. We get 100 miles per gallon on them, so that helps. And of course, the novelty of it, just to see if we could do it. It's a ridiculous concept, and it's worked so far. What we're doing is exploring hunger needs throughout the U.S. So a quick backstory, in Maine over the last few years we've seen a dramatic increase in the food insecurity rates, 3% in the last 3 years. And that's even though we've been putting a lot of time, energy, and resources into the problem. So I was coming up with a lot of questions, not getting a lot of answers. Like, if we're doing all this stuff, why isn't the problem, if not going away, at least minimizing? And so I wanted to find out what was going on in other places throughout the country. So what are the challenges? What are the solutions? What things can we share with other people? And what can we bring back home to Maine and implement there? We'll start typically with a Rotary Club if we can. We're both Rotarians back home, so we'll touch base with them, and they're always well networked, so they'll put us in touch with the right people. We'll talk to food banks, shelters, USDA folks, people who help with the SNAP program, anybody who's working within or around the issue of hunger, food insecurity. Awareness is one of the big things. There's a lot of issues tied to hunger that I don't know if people are familiar with. Like obesity is considered not a hunger problem, but people are eating too much food. In one case that's true, but it's because they're eating non-nutritious food. They're eating too much of the wrong stuff. So the hunger and obesity are tied together. The health epidemic, there's a lot of health issues, diabetes and heart problems, things like that are tied to diet. So we want to raise awareness of the issue. But also, on the other end, we have the waste of food. We waste $165 billion of our food. That's 40% every year. Currently, the SNAP program, which is the food stamp program, costs between like 80 and 85 billion a year. Well, we're wasting double that. So there's a lot of room for improvement there. And the donations that people make, which they can do right through our website, which is acproject.org, they click on the donate now. That goes into a fund, and at the end of the trip, we're going to split that 48 ways, and one organization or project in each state is going to receive some of those funds for what they're doing.
There's one time in New York where I found myself at 3 or 4 in the morning in the middle of the Hispanic district in Queens, and I was dressed to the nines, completely out of place, everyone in their Carhartts. And I stumbled across these two guys who were arguing, and right across the other side of the street. And it comes to a point where they start shoving each other. They open up their jackets, and then they whip out these knives that they have on their person. One of them has this huge, massive Rambo knife. It's like almost a machete. I don't know why this guy is carrying this thing. And so the other guy, in response, opens up his own jacket, takes out his knife, but it's one of those, what was it, Boy Scout knives and whatnot. So he flicks open the knife. And so they're just about to go at it. I don't know what to do. Do I intervene? Do I call? I'm not going to go over there. And before I could even think about anything, there was a taco stand about a stone throw away from these two guys. And there was these two other guys that looked like they just got off of work, munching on tacos. And so they're munching away, and they look over at the two knife guys. At the same time, they toss down their tacos, book it over to the two knife guys, whip open their own jackets, and bring out these massive, dirty, hairy hand cannons. Like, why are these guys carrying these things? And at the same time, in unison, they go, get down on the ground, get down on the ground, this is the police. And I'm thinking, these guys are cops. What is going on here? I feel like I just hit the TNT, action button or something. And before I could even do anything else, I hear this noise over my left shoulder, and I'm right on the street corner. And so I look over, and there's this dopey white hatchback with like miscolored hood, red hood and black door, and there's a stick-on-top police siren on the driver's side, and it's wailing away, and it screeches around the corner, and then comes to a complete halt in front of the two knife guys, and the driver's side cop hops out, runs over, like Starsky and Hutch. The guy on the passenger side like jumps over the hood of the car, sliding across it. So they book it over to the two knife guys, knock them against the wall, get them on the ground, put your hands behind your back, blah, 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 all that police jargon. And all the while, I'm on the other side of the street, my jaw has just hit the floor. This happened in the span of maybe 20, 30 seconds. I mean, it was just like that. And so I was there, just standing there for about 3 or 4 minutes, completely in shock. And then I finally recover, and then I look over at the taco stand, and the guy behind the taco stand's minding his own business too. And I see the 2 tacos on the ground, and I couldn't think of anything for a solid few minutes, but the first thought that came to my head was, why would you waste such a good taco? It's like, it looked really tasty. And it was like the first coherent thought I had coming through. Well, Dan had a bit more commitment in that regard. I'm postponing my 4th year of college for my associate's degree, and I just left a sous chef job, back at my restaurant that I worked at. So, I didn't leave behind too much, but with everything that we've learned, all the people that we've come across, it kind of sparked a business idea of mine to, bring more local, fresh produce into my area, into my neighborhood, while also ever since that moment in New York, I have this idea for a Korean taco truck type of deal. So, I kind of ride that wave.
You'll have to call it like Rambo's Korean tacos
or something.
Dan and Myles, American Community Project. You guys are in Bismarck for the next day or two, right?
Correct.
And you can find you guys are just kind of hanging out around town?
We make any meetings that come along, but otherwise we'll be utilizing the Wi-Fi at the local McDonald's.
Once again, acproject.org. Make sure you go donate. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll look for you on the mopeds across Bismarck the next couple days.
Thanks for having us.